Bonjour, today on Travelling Fabulously, I'm here at the Luxembourg Gardens, Paris, France. That's right, not in Luxembourg, but in France.
You know what I say, whatever you do it fabulously. So why don't you come and join me on this week's episode of Travelling Fabulously.
Bonjour, today we're exploring the Luxembourg Gardens here in Paris, France, not in Luxembourg. Funny that. Actually, it's named Luxembourg Gardens because it was built on the top of the hill called the Luxembourg Hill. Well, sort of really, but not. It was called something else, but it was definitely called Luxembourg something. I just don't know what the French word for hill is. Mont? Maybe. Something like that. Hill? Oh, let's try this a little bit better with a French accent. The Luxembourg Hill. That's probably it. They're not actually called the Luxembourg Gardens. They're called the Jardins Du Luxembourg. Or, as you say in French, the Jardins Du Luxembourg. Actually, if you want to speak French properly, you just put a on the end of your accent and you'll be fine. The Luxembourg Gardens, or as you say, the Jardins du Luxembourg, are actually one of the largest gardens in Paris. In fact, every time I've done a garden lately, it's been the largest garden in Paris.
Located in the 6th arrondissement of Paris, the Jardins du Luxembourg is inspired by the Bumble Gardens of Florence. Created in 1612 for the Queen Marie de Medici, the widow of Henry IV of France, for a new palace she had just built, the Luxembourg Palace, which is now home to the French Senate. The garden covers over 23 hectares of land just down the road from the Pantheon. It's split into two areas, an English garden and a French one, with woodlands and a large pond and palace right in the middle. The Medici fountain is one of the more popular attractions in the Jardins de Luxembourg. It was built in 1630 for Marie de Medici, who was then the widow of King Henry IV. He was assassinated the day after Marie was crowned the Queen. She then became the regent of King Louis VIII, her son, who was too young to rule at the time. The fountain is part of a range of fountains, gardens, statues, buildings, and even bridges like the Pont Neuf that are inspired by the Italian influence brought to Paris between the regencies of Catherine Medici and Marie de Medici.
Behind me is the Fountain Leader, which is situated behind the Fountain de Medici. It's a little secret fountain.
Often overlooked, the Fountain de Lido was constructed between 1806 and 1809 over on Rue Vaugirard. When Baron Haussmann wanted to extend Rue de Rennes, it was moved here to the Jardins de Luxembourg.
By the way, if you like these videos, press the like button. Subscribe to Fabulousness by hitting the subscribe button. It should just be about here. Yeah, that's right, just here. Behind me is the Tour de Mel, which is where you can see some little birds and bees action going on. In statue and human form.
The Davou Pavilion was constructed and named after the architect who designed it back in 1860. It is now home to a school of horticulture. It's also the site for the annual Honey Festival in the garden, which happens every year in September. The Jardins de Luxembourg has 106 statues spread throughout it. There's even a Wikipedia page devoted to listing the whole lot of them. They are some of the most photographed statues in Paris. This one is a Greek actor and was built in 1868 and originally placed in Odeon before being moved to the Jardins de Luxembourg. Le Marchand de Masques pays homage to the who's who of French culture. The faces around the base are the masks of Victor Hugo, Léon Gambetta, Alexandre Dumas, Eugène Delacroix, Jean-Baptiste Capot, Camille Corot, Hector Berlioz, Jean-Baptiste Faure, Honoré de Balzac, and Jules Barbie de Auvry. And I really don't think I pronounced half of those correctly. Anyways, let's move on. There's more statues to see. One of the best things to do in any park or garden in Paris is to bring along your own little picnic and sit back and enjoy the day. These lovely Sydney-siders I met did just that. And even though they are vegan, they managed to find some vegan fromage, yes, I just said vegan fromage, and create their very own ingenious picnic bench. Pleasure meeting you both. Amazing that I can always manage to meet some Australians when out and about filming. I hope I can see you again on your next visit to Paris. Twice a year, the fence of the Jardins Du Luxembourg is used as the home of a photographic exhibition, free for everyone to see. One of the most popular activities in the Jardins du Luxembourg every day, rain or shine, is chess. You can rock up and play against some of the best in France here, or if you are lucky, you can play me, whose first and only game of chess lasted 2 minutes, where I was beaten in 3 moves. Just across from the chess players in the garden is the orangery. Used to house the fruit trees during the winter, the orangery is now an exhibition space. Designed in the 1800s and dedicated to the artist Eugène Delacroix, this fountain has a bust of him along with figures staring up at him, admiring him apparently, all in bronze, and was produced by the sculptor Jules Zalou. If you didn't bring a picnic to the park, that's okay, because you aren't allowed to sit on the grass at the Luxembourg Gardens anyway. But if you didn't bring a picnic and you're hungry, or you just want a nice relaxing afternoon drink, then you should check out La Terrasse de Madame, who make a delicious hot chocolate by the way, albeit a little bit expensive. The Jardin du Luxembourg has a rose garden, a wooded area and beehives among other things. But there's also an orchard with a variety of old and forgotten apples being grown here.
Behind me is the Palace de Luxembourg, which is now the French Senate. It's been the French Senate since Napoleon II put it here, except for a period during the Second World War, where it became the head of the Luftwaffe. Try saying that properly. Apparently they were the German Air Force or something like that. The Luftwaffe. The Luftwaffe. The Luftwaffe. Thankfully we didn't move to Germany and I didn't have to learn French. So, German. Anyways, let's move on.
The Palace de Luxembourg, as I mentioned before, was built for Marie Medici, and then after the revolutions became home to the French Senate. Napoleon I actually moved the Senate to another location from the palace, and then Napoleon II moved it back again. And it's remained there ever since, except for that period that I mentioned before during World War II that we just don't want to talk about anymore. What to do with your children when visiting the Jardin du Luxembourg? Well, big kids and little kids alike will be amused by hiring a boat and poking it with a stick whilst letting the wind blow it around this lake. On a day like today, this could be hours of fun. But it did leave me to ask, what happens when there's no wind? Can you imagine the screaming child or husband whose boat's stuck in the middle of the pond not going anywhere? Not my idea of fun. Quick nap, anyone? Sports fanatics will be pleased to find that you can play many sports here in the Jardin du Luxembourg. The garden is not just for jogging around, you can also play pétanque and even a good game of tennis.
YouTube says you should be watching this video next, but I think you should watch this one. But whatever you do, you should subscribe to Fabulousness by hitting the subscribe button just here. What do you think, Lenny? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Subscribe to Fabulousness by hitting the subscribe button just here.